It's the ultimate ute showdown, a battle between these three plug-in hybrid utes to see which is faster, which is better value, and which has got more toys, and there can only be one winner. Now, I've got a series of fun challenges lined up today, so grab your popcorn. This should be fun. First, we need to see which one is the most affordable, and this, the Great Wall, the relative newcomer, clocks in at $75,000. Ford Ranger, everyone knows the Ranger. The new Ranger plug-in hybrid, $95,000. The BYD Shark 6, you know where I'm going with this. $70,000, $69,990. The BYD wins round one. But what about motor power? Which one's the gruntiest, you ask? Well, the Ford Ranger with a 2.3-litre EcoBoost puts out 207 kilowatts. Whereas the Great Wall has this 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine producing 300 kilowatts. The BYD, however, well, it's the baby of the lot. It's a 1.5-litre petrol engine which only puts out 135 kilowatts. But total power, using the front and rear electric motors in this car, that's what makes this one special, 321 kilowatts. Round two goes to the BYD. Thing is, I know what you're thinking. The BYD, it always wins these challenges, right? Well, maybe not this time, because now we talk battery size. Yes, these three are all plug-in hybrid vehicles. They all have their own battery pack, and the Ford Ranger, its battery is 11.8 kilowatt hours long. The BYD Shark 6, well, that's a little bigger. This thing runs on Blade batteries from BYD, and I got to see these things in action. Spoiler alert, they don't catch fire when they're punctured. 29.58 kilowatt hours. However, it's this newcomer, the Great Wall, that is impressing me with its battery pack. This thing, believe it or not, has a battery of 37.1 kilowatt hours. So, round three to the Great Wall. Let's hit the road now though here in the Ford Ranger, because we have to talk design, and this is an area in which I think the Ranger does a great job because it looks like a traditional ute. Yes, it's a plug-in hybrid, but it doesn't advertise the fact it looks tough. Here on the BYD Shark 6, however, we are uting in the 21st century because look at the exterior design. It is a good-looking car, and that's the thing, the symmetry on this is excellent. In my opinion, this has the best symmetry out of the three. It's just the most pleasing to look at. It's both old and new. It's traditional ute design, but clean and fresh. And that's the thing, when you start messing around with ute designs, things can get weird quick. I mean, first of all, look at the SsangYong Action Sport. They made it look too much like a car and it's weird. Same thing with the Jeep Gladiola. They made it look too much like a truck slash Jeep, and then you ended up with a 5.5 meter long weird thing. There's a reason you don't see many driving around. Here in the Alpha Ultra, however, well, we are back in the ute renaissance because this looks like a traditional ute, at least from the outside. It looks how a ute should look. Although I do have a couple of complaints. First of all, that big plastic grille, in my opinion, makes it look like it's the cheapest of the three utes, which it isn't. And also my OCD gland is not thrilled with the fact that the bonnet line is higher than the tray line. I know it makes it look tough, but I don't like that symmetry. So I cannot give the point to this. Once again, the BYD wins this round. Well, we might as well start here in the Ranger, and I've got to say I like it a lot more than I thought I would. I mean, look at it. It's tough, it's rugged, it's brutal. All the words you'd use to describe me. Yeah, anyway, I do like it a lot more than I thought it would because it's got physical buttons. It's exactly how you'd expect a ute to be. Like, I can adjust the air conditioning without taking my eyes off the road. I can be in Royal Oak Roundabout right now talking to camera and still adjust the temperature down a little. Here we go. Look at that. Without taking my eyes off the road. Here in the BYD, however, we're back in familiar ground because I've done heaps of videos in these cars, so I know it pretty well. First of all, I love the design. Yeah, it's rugged, it's tough, we've got big handles here, everything's very chonky, much like the Ranger, but it's also got some 21st century, a little bit of luxury. Look at this, for example, massive touchscreen display, which turns and hits the camera. No! What a disaster. Anyway, it's there, it works. I also love right down here in the center console, the color combinations, the Apollo 13 buttons as well. Look at this, I just don't know which one actually stirs the tanks. Here in Chateau Great Wall, however, it is a very different story. Look at this. And most importantly, what in the 1993 Nissan Laurel is that? An analog clock in a new car. And look at the design. Like, look at the textures and the textiles. Even this fake wood grain effect on the dashboard, the analog clock, the silvers, the brushed effect. This is incredible. I mean, it goes without saying, they've all got nice interiors, but in terms of fancy poshness, this is the winner. My question is though, does all of this poshness result in a lack of toughness? What about payload, I hear you ask? How much can these utes actually hold? Well, Great Wall clocks in at 685 kilos payload. Not bad, but the BYD's better. 790 kilos payload capacity in this Chinese beast. But it's Ford that wins the round in terms of payload. 808 kilograms in this, the plug-in hybrid Ford Ranger. Let's talk towing capacity though, because these are ultimately workhorses. Ford Ranger tows 3.5 tons. As for the Great Wall, also 3.5 tons. The BYD lets the team down here. This one only tows 2.5 tons. So this round goes to the Wall of Greatness and Walker Texas Ranger. Thing is, we don't know who the winner is just yet. It's too early to tell. So what we need is a quickfire round. Starting with which one has the most power outlets built in, and the Great Wall has none unfortunately, but the Ranger has 1 for backseat passengers and 2 in the tray. Meanwhile, the BYD also has 1 for backseat passengers and 3 in the tray, so well done BYD. But can you plug a vehicle to load adapter into the charging port to get more power out? And in the case of the BYD, you can. And you can in the Great Wall too, but not on the Ford Ranger. Let's talk economy now, and which one has the best claimed petrol economy? Well, the Ranger claims it uses 2.8 litres in optimal conditions per 100k, the BYD 2 litres, whereas the Great Wall claims it uses only 1.7 litres, but we'll find out how true that is very soon. But what if something goes wrong? Which one has the most repair shops and dealerships and service centres? And we start with the BYD. It's got 15 showrooms now with 25 approved repair places. The Great Wall has 21 dealerships and service centres, but it's the Ford, as you would expect, that has 62 dealerships and service centres nationwide. Well done Ford, you get the point. What about rear seat width for those kids' seats though? Well, the Ford Ranger is 127 centimetres wide. The BYD 132 centimetres, but the Great Wall is the widest at 137 centimetres. Nice one, Canon. But what if you're old like me and you need to get in and out easily? Well, the Ford Ranger's seat is 89 centimeters off the ground at its lowest setting, as is the Great Wall Motors seat, while the BYD just a little higher, 92 centimeters. This means that all three with that running board are a little bit difficult to get in and out of. You do have to climb up or slide out or leap in or leap out, but it is the Ranger with the seat height and the handle that make it the easiest to get into. Well done, Ford. Which one goes off-road though, you ask? And the Ford Ranger. It does, and it's got its own high and low ratio modes, as does the Great Wall Motors Canon Alpha Ultra. The BYD also goes off-road, as I found out with a qualified instructor. It's very agile, but it doesn't have a low ratio mode, although it doesn't seem to bother it. But which one's got a good old-fashioned diff lock? The BYD does not. The Great Wall does, as does the Ford Ranger. So points to the Ranger and the Great Wall. Let's talk trays now. Which has got the best toys and the best layout? And we start with the Ford Ranger. Look at that. Not only does it have this awesome electronic sliding tailgate, which is an added extra, I should point out, but it also has this cool roll bar that can be slotted and moved along a set of tracks. That is pretty freaking sweet. As for the BYD, this one has a flat lid, but you can get all manner of canopies for this thing, as you can for the Great Wall, but I'm going to give the Ranger the point for being creative. What about a spare tyre, you ask? Does the Ranger have one? Well, look at that. Looking underneath, it does. What about the BYD, you ask? Yes, BYD's got one too. As for the Great Wall, however, no. It only has one as a fitted extra, which goes on the tray. But enough quickfire rounds, we need to get back to actual testing, starting by checking the ride quality. With the water test. Now I've got a container full of water. It weighs 200 grams exactly. Let's take this around a preset course and see if the Ranger has the best ride quality. And we're off. Okay, so this is the water test in which we measure how much water stays in the container. I've done this test before. This is always a great test to see really how truly smooth these cars are on New Zealand roads, because let's face it, some of our roads are, well, they've got nice personalities, let's say that. First speed bump. Oh, yeah. Whoa, okay. No, oh, we haven't lost any. We haven't lost any. We're doing good. Now, I love that the Ford Ranger has the indicator on the correct side. Oh, sorry, sir. It's a bit narrow here. Well, we've lost a little bit of water. Honestly, I expected the Ford to have the least refined ride out of the lot. I thought we would have lost half the water by now, but you know what? It's actually pretty good. And even though this is a highly sprung vehicle with a lot of potential suspension travel, utes typically have firm suspension in the back, because otherwise, with so much suspension travel, you'd end up with a car that just wallows around the road everywhere. Yes, it's riding on a chassis, which means you're more prone to feeling bumps, but I gotta say, oh, where am I going? Sorry. Whoa, yeah. Come back here, little water bottle. Whoa, the water's moving. But you know what? I am very impressed with the Ranger's suspension system. The road feel is excellent. I cannot believe this has good old leaf springs on the back. But it does make me wonder how much water we've lost. Whoa, oh, no! That final speed bump might have just cost this race. But let's try the Great Wall and see if it's any better. Ooh. I make the same noises every time I do this. What I want to find out about this car is how it compares to the Ford. Mostly because this, just like the BYD in front of us, this also has independent rear suspension. But like the Ranger, this has a live rear axle. So I still think we're gonna feel every bump. Promise you I'm doing my best not to spill a drop. And I'm doing good. Hey, already we're actually ahead of the Ranger. That's pretty good. Could this be the best ride out of the three? Because I won't lie, they all ride really well, but each ute has a different personality when it hits a bump. Look, I'm even going faster than I was on the Ranger. Come on, we're doing good. This is my concentrating face. Almost back at the start point, and we have not spilled a single drop in the Great Wall Ultra Mega Muscle, whatever it's called. Honestly, stupidly masculine name. Whoa, all ahead, stop. Oh no! Oh no! That was my fault, that was my braking, but I'm gonna blame the car, of course. Vanehunga has the tightest little side streets around this area. No! Oh, okay, that wasn't entirely my fault. Thing is, because this has a regular combustion engine and a transmission, sometimes there is a little delay from where you put your foot down to when it takes off, and that delay has resulted in an unexpected surge. I was so cocky, wasn't I? I was so cocky, and look at that. We are in the BYD Shark, and we are going to follow the same set route. We have 200 grams of water and container. Here's the first speed bump. So far, so good. It'll be interesting to see if the suspension is more polite than the Ranger and the Alpha Ultra Mega Muscle, or if this is actually firmer and results in more spillage. Just like the Great Wall, not a drop spilled. I'm so confident, right? This also has independent suspension. However, instead of leaf springs or a live rear axle, this has shocks and springs. We've got double wishbone suspension on the front. I'm sorry about this. Oh no! Why did you do that? Why did you stop? That wasn't me. The car just slammed on some emergency braking for no reason. Okay, that's annoying. That wasn't me. That was the car. BYD, come on. We're doing all right. We've only lost a little bit of water. We can still come back from this. So far, it doesn't look like as much water as the others have lost. So at this stage, I think it's still winning. No, same problem. It's slipped within the container. We've lost a little bit of water, and sorry BYD, that's being absorbed into the ventilated seats. Does that mean if I turn them on maximum, it's just going to aerosol water up my backside? Now here's where the Great Wall surged and made me lose some water. Power delivery in this, however, is exactly what I want it to be, depending on where my foot is on the accelerator. All right, here we are pulling into the starting point. Oh, maybe coming in a bit hot there. Steady on, Gav. Come on, man. You got this. Ooh, a couple of droplets over. All right, let's go get on the scales, see how much water we've lost, and pick a winner for the comfort test. So here's the results from the BYD. You can see we've lost a little bit of water. Let's put it on the scale and see how much we've lost and who is the winner. 185. We've got ourselves a winner. The BYD Shark 6, as you can see, has the most comfortable, refined ride. Well, hang on just a second. Fast forward 5 days and I've now put hundreds of Ks on the odometers of all three vehicles, and here in the Ford Ranger, I have to say that on the highway, as long as the road surface is relatively smooth on the highway, this actually rides the smoothest. But we must now talk drivetrains and what sets these apart. And we start in the Ford Ranger, and if you are a traditional combustion driver, this will be the one that will feel the most familiar to you, because it is ultimately a combustion vehicle with its combustion engine. Then it's got a transmission, a 10-speed auto transmission, and inside the transmission is that 75 kilowatt electric motor that can power this thing on pure electric mode. From there, it goes into a central transfer box, which has got a lockable diff, mechanical diff lock, then it goes to the axles and things like that. So Basically, this feels just like a combustion car when you want it to, and an EV when you need it to. Or is it the other way around? Here in the BYD Shark 6, it's a little different because, yeah, sure, it's got a turbocharged engine up there just like the other two, but this one doesn't turn a transmission and drive shafts in a transfer box. This one just acts as a generator to make electricity because this thing is primarily driven by electric power. There is a physical connection between the engine and the front wheels, but it only works if you have your foot planted hard like a newborn potato. This thing is so precise. This has the most responsive, most precise drivetrain out of the three. Whereas here in the Great Wall, things are a little different. So it uses a traditional turbocharged petrol engine, which then goes through a gearbox which has an electric motor in it. Then it goes to a central transfer box with a lockable diff, and then it goes to each wheel via drive shafts. You know how that works. However, the downside with that is that it does feel a lot like a traditional combustion vehicle because fundamentally it is a combustion vehicle first and foremost. That means there's a little bit of a delay while you wait for the turbo to spool up. And there's also a little bit of a delay caused by gear changes and things like that. Basically, every noise you hear results in a sensation you feel in this vehicle. So far, all three vehicles are doing really well. There's no clear winner. Things are still fairly neck and neck, but it's 2025. Utes have to do more than just look good and go fast. They've got to tow a lot, they've got to be comfortable, and they've got to have gadgets. So what we need right now to pick the winners from the losers is a quickfire round. What about acceleration though, which is the quickest off the market? As you can see, they all move pretty sprightly, but it is the BYD that wins first place. That is the power of dual electric motors. Now, which one has wireless Android and Apple connectivity? The Ranger does, as does the BYD, and so does the Great Wall. Nice. As for seated heats, all three vehicles have this function, which is great. As for ventilated seats though, it's a different story. The Great Wall has it, as does the BYD, but the Ranger does not. As for a 230 volts mains power outlet in the vehicle, well, the Ford's got one in the back, that's handy, so does the BYD. But the Great Wall, well, it doesn't. As for built-in maps, well, the Ford Ranger's got its own map system and it works great. Same goes for the BYD, it's nice and quick, and the Great Wall's got it too. Nice work, all three. Last one in the quickfire round, which one's got a sunroof? And as you can see, the Ford Ranger does not, and neither does the BYD, but the Great Wall does. Nice. Turning circles now, and the BYD turns in 13.5 meters, the Great Wall in 13 meters, but it's the Ranger with a turning circle of 12.9 meters that's the most city friendly. You can't believe I said that. But which one's got the best sound system? And the BYD has a Dynaudio 12 speaker system, which is good. The Great Wall's Infinity system with 10 speakers is very good, but it's the Ranger with the Bang & Olufsen 10 speaker system that wins this one. No matter what song you listen to, it is crisp, flawless, wonderful. Don't take my word for it, have a listen. Let's talk rapid charging speeds now. Which one rapid charges fastest? And this is where we've uncovered a bit of a problem. So we've got the Ford Ranger here outside one of ChargeNet's many hyper rapid chargers. But if you look at the charging port here on the Ford, one thing you'll notice is that's the gas cap. Hang on, charging port is here. That is very much an AC charging port, and rapid chargers use DC. So I guess this one's not going to win the charging round. The Great Wall, however, we can charge, because if I pop open the charging cap, you'll see it's got AC and DC charging. As for the BYD, I already know the charging speed because in the full review I did when the vehicle first landed in New Zealand, I rapid charged it to 100% and it took 46 minutes, peaking at 68 kilowatts, which means it's the Great Wall that wins the charging round. But now we have to talk about pure electric range. How far can each one of these vehicles go just running on its battery pack? And that's the thing, each one has a different sized battery, each one I've charged up full, and now we're going to find out. We start with this, the Ford Ranger. Now it has its battery fully charged. In fact, it's running off really clean power. I plugged this thing in and charged it off my solar panels. So right now the electricity in this is cleaner than clean, straight from the sun, that renewable source. In fact, I can go one step further than cheap. I get paid for the solar I don't use from my panels. Those little panels on my roof, every unit of electricity that I don't use, I send back to the grid and I get paid 16 cents for during the day, and I get paid 21 cents per unit during peak times. And you can get this too. This isn't some special mates rates deal I get from Ecotricity. This is just the Eco Solar plan. It is very good rates. Sign up at ecotricity.co.nz. But on pure electric mode, I gotta tell you, this feels good. The thing is, it has the smallest battery of the three. It's only got an 11.8 kilowatt hour battery pack, and I don't expect it to go very far. So let's drive into the countryside and see what happens. Fast forward 46 minutes and we are at 0% battery any minute now. That engine's just kicked in. So there we have it. You can get 44 kilometers all electric range out of the Ford Ranger plug-in hybrid, but can the BYD Shark do more? In fact, well, yeah, I'll save you the trouble. I've already done the test. I know it can do more. In fact, it can do a lot more. As for the BYD Shark 6, I already know how far this vehicle goes on pure electric mode, having done this test when I did the full review. To save you a click, I got 86 Ks out of the BYD on one charge, which was very impressive, but I expect the Great Wall to do more with its bigger battery. As for the Great Wall, been on the motorway, drained the battery down hard. We have done 93 kilometers on pure electric range, but any second now the combustion engine is going to start on this thing. Right then, look at that, low traction battery, EV mode is unavailable, the combustion engine's begun, 93 Ks out of one charge. This round goes to the Great Wall. Now, however, we have to test the reversing camera quality and the definition of this massive central display. To do that, I'm going to put this BYD Shark 6 into a parking space behind me using only the display. No windows, no mirrors. Just the display, which, as you can see, is monstrous. Look at the definition of this thing, man. That is brilliant. Okay, so we've already picked a parking space that I'm gonna head towards. This is a big, long vehicle, so there will be a little bit of, oh, I wanna look out the window. There will be a little bit of, no, I almost looked. See how instinctive it is to look? I hope I'm in the right space I picked. Okay, so I'm gonna have to straighten up here. Can't see my camera holder there. Try not to run over the camera operator. You know, this is not hard. I'm not hamming it up or anything. It's not difficult, but you do have to be careful because I can see Lachlan there is holding the camera and I don't have enough ink in my pen for all of the insurance stuff required if I was to run him over. So let's try and keep him alive. Okay, look at that. And we are done. All right, now it is the turn of the Great Wall. Auto handbrake goes down. All right, I looked at my mirror. I think I got away with that one. No, don't look, Gavin, don't look. Okay, we're gonna use just the camera system here, which is great. We've got, just like the BYD, we've got a reversing view and a top-down view, and this has also got a ghost mode you can see there, so you can see underneath the car. All right, now this I'm gonna have to do a backwards swing out. The detail in here is not bad. I think the BYD is still king for detail, but this is excellent. I like the vertical approach as opposed to the horizontal approach. Look, I'm just gonna have a couple of goes to straighten this up. Even though this has a combustion engine, it is running on electric mode right now, which is why it's very quiet. And you'll find, if you buy one of these vehicles, you'll find naturally that you'll want to be driving in electric mode most of the time. Not only because it's the cheapest, it costs almost nothing to run, but mostly because it's the quietest and the calmest. It's the most polite way, the most civilized way to drive a vehicle running on electric mode. I'm not just saying that because I'm an EV nut, which I am, but it's true. And there we go. Let's go see how it did. Now it's the Ranger's turn, and although this has a nice big display, it is a vertical display, which means that the camera display is horizontally pitched. That is unfortunate because it means that the box is actually quite small despite the massive screen. It means that I need to pay attention. Where's that space? They all look the same. Oh, I so badly want to look at that mirror. But you have no idea how much of my eyes just want to look at the mirrors right now. I am fighting that urge. I do like the fact that it's got a top-down view here as well. You've got the main horizontal reversing view and then a simulated bird's eye view, which I like. Oh, don't look at Lachlan. Oh, the camera's gone. Oh no, no, we'll come back. Where's the button gone on the camera? Okay. There we go, it's up the top there. Oh, all right, Gavin, you idiot. Let's try that again. We'll get there. All right, let's use the guides to help guide me in. No, I can do better than this. I know I can. No, camera's gone, come back. Oh, I'll put it in park. Okay, I think that is excellent. I reckon we've got it spot on. Let's go have a look at it from the outside. That looks pretty good, man.
Yeah, it's a good park.
That is perfect.
Holy
That's not bad. Okay. Road trip economy though, which one is the most economical? And I filled each of these vehicles up to the brim, then drove 200 kilometers for each on the same path, and it turns out, in terms of economy on a road trip, the Great Wall used 11.18 litres per 100k, the Ford Ranger used 9.55 litres per 100k, and the BYD Shark 6 used 8.69 litres per 100k, so the point goes to the BYD. On a related note, something I found interesting is that only the BYD appeared to be telling the truth in terms of economy on the screen, whereas the Great Wall and the Ranger both claim to be getting better economy on the screen than is shown at the pump. Time to get serious now though, let us talk PSC, and the BYD clocks in with a PSC of 66, which is not bad. The Ford Ranger 73, thanks to that extra glove box on top of the dash. The Great Wall, however, with its extra little center console storage and driver accessible spud box, gets 75. But finally, after all of that testing, it is time to decide the ultimate winner in this plug-in hybrid ute competition. The BYD Shark 6, yes, it won again. Another video where the BYD is the winner, and I'm so sorry if you were expecting something different. I promise I don't rig these to make the BYD win. They just always seem to have the best gadgets, the best tech overall, and the best value. The Great Wall, it may not have won, but in my mind, this is right up there in first place because it also has everything you could want at a brilliant price. All that's left to say now is thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you've enjoyed our videos and had a laugh or two at my antics. Also, give a shout out to Rachel, who's editing these videos, turning my slop into something watchable. Speaking of which, this is our last video for 2025 as we head into the Christmas break, so if you're feeling generous, give us a like and a subscribe because there are so many new EVs lined up for the New Zealand market next year and so much more clean tech coming, you're going to want to see it, and we'll be giving it to you on this channel. So come along for the ride. Merry Christmas. See you in the new year.